Hi, I'm Leann. Welcome to this episode in our fabulous spring home decor series, where I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful piece of wall art using our fabulous Floral and Flutter stamp and die set. We're going to start right at the very beginning, making everything from scratch, and you're going to end up with this to hang on a wall in your home where it'll look absolutely fabulous. Okay, we're going to start with our watercolor card, and you're going to add some color to this. To add colour, we're going to use ink pads, and the ink pads I'm going to use are from our Harmony Water Reactive range. You can use any kind of water reactive ink pad that you've got already in your stash if you want to, and I'm going to use a pink and a purple, and the specific ones that I've got here are pink tulip and plum jam. Now, it's good if you've got a water resistant surface to do this on. I'm using my glass craft mat here. You could use a Teflon baking sheet if you wanted to, or maybe a glass cutting board from the kitchen, something which will repel water. If you really don't have any of those things, a bit of cling film taped to your desktop will also work for you. I'm going to take my ink pad and just apply that ink to my waterproof surface randomly. You can see I'm just pushing the ink pad all over the surface of the glass here. And that will be making a bit of a mess, but getting a nice random coverage of the watercolour that I want to use. When you're finished with your pink tulip, we're going to add in a little bit of the plum jam now, and I'm just going to randomly apply that to the waterproof surface, whatever waterproof surface you're working on. So there's no rhyme or reason to this, it's completely random. And then we're going to take our piece of watercolour card. Now, before I start to pick up the colour that I've applied, I'm going to activate the card, which simply means give it a mist of water. So I've got a little water mister here, and I'm just going to mist a fine spray of water over that watercolour card, which gets it ready to receive colour. And then for my water reactive ink, I'm also going to give that a little mist, which tells it, I want you to start moving. You can see how the colours are intensified, they're on the mat already. I want you to be ready to start adding colour to something. So it's just giving it a little kickstart, if you like. And from that point, we can then start to pick up the colour onto our card. And we're simply going to do that by pushing it in, technical term, smoosh, move that around, pick it up and have a look, and you can see you get that beautiful colour starting to transfer to your card. And you can just continue now, moving your card around, picking up the colour, not worrying about it looking a little bit all over and random, picking that up, and then when you're ready, you can stop. You want some little white areas, you want some rivulets, you want little darker areas and lighter areas. That's exactly what you're looking for. You can use then a heat gun to dry that off a little bit faster. Now, if you haven't got a fancy heat gun like I've got here, you can just put that to one side and leave it to dry naturally. It'll take maybe 10 or 15 minutes, and you are going to need several pieces of watercolour card done like this to be able to create all those fabulous petals that you've seen on the plaque. So you can put one to the side and just let it air dry naturally while you create the others if you'd like to. But if you're impatient like me and you do have a heat tool, then you can use that to dry the card, and you can see it's starting to flatten out as I dry the moisture out of the card. To speed that process up, you can also turn your card over and dry from the back, and that will just get it nice and dry and have that colour settle into place. Now, I think I'd like a little bit more differentiation in colour on this piece so it doesn't look so flat. And so once it's dry, you can then go back in and add more or a different colour if you want to. And I'm going to warm it up with a little bit of the Chinese red watercolour here. So once that's dry, I can just wipe up the little bits of water and ink that are left on my mat, a kitchen towel or a very fancy napkin, depending, I'm feeling fancy today. And then we're going to repeat the process just with a different colour and put it over the top. So this is I'm using Chinese red, which is like a nice warm orangey red colour. And I'm just going to add little bits of that down onto my waterproof surface. And then, as I did before, a little spritz just to activate it, and then bring my card back in, which is still a little bit damp, it's not fully dry. And then I can go in and pick up some of that colour. And you can see once you start to layer the colours, you get more of that very loose, random watercolour background effect starting to appear. And then we dry again. Okay, once that's nice and dry, you're ready for the next stage. And I'm actually happy with that, I like that. And that piece is ready for the next thing that I want to do. Now, you can see here's a piece I did earlier, and you can see how different they are. This one has a lot more of the white card, this one doesn't. It doesn't matter because your petals are all going to be different when you die cut from them. What you are going to do now is take your Floral and Flutter metal die and stamp set. So this is the packaging, and then I've got the dies from inside here. And then we're going to run these through our die cutting machine. So the flower that I'm using is this one, which looks a little bit like a gerbera or a daisy. So I'll take that off. I'm going to use the little butterflies, and I'll come back and we'll use the little centres as well in a second. We are going to need around 40 to 50 of these individual die cut petals. So to make sure I don't waste anything, what I like to do is to line my petal right up to the end of my paper, use my little bit of repositionable tape just to keep that still so it doesn't move around, and that means I can line them all up and get maximum petals out of the piece of paper that I've coloured and not waste anything. So bring in your plates, put that back on in a second. Bring in your die cutting plates for the machine that you're using with your base plate to start. Then you're going to have your piece of watercolour on top of there, and then we're going to line up our petal for cutting to use the maximum space. Keep it still with my watercolour, and then layer up the rest of the plates I need to die cut, which would be my thin metal shim, my magnetic, and my top cutting plate, and then I'll run that through the machine. Then you're going to remove the die from the cardstock. You can see we've got that there. Pop out your petal. It's ready, and you're going to do that 40 to 50 times. I'm not going to make you stand and watch me do that 40 to 50 times because that would be incredibly boring. So we're going to move to the petals that I've already done. So once you've cut out your 40 to 50 petals, you can see we've got them here, some of them, not all 40 to 50, cut out from your cardstock. You're then going to come back to the ink pads that you were using earlier, and we're going to add a little bit more colour to them just to make them feel a little bit more floral. So I'm going to use my little colour applicators here. I've got these fabulous little ink daubers which just fit on your finger, means that you don't get mucky fingers, and then ink the inside of the flowers. And I can use one or all of the colours. I use exactly the same colours I used to make the base piece to add the dimension into the centre. So I'm going to start with a little bit of the plum jam, and then all you do is rub that colour into the centre of your flower and come up the petals a little bit. So all you're adding here is a little bit of dimension and interest to make them feel a little bit more 3D and natural as they would come out of the garden. And you'll do this to all of the petals that you've cut, every single one of them. And then just to warm that up and get a little bit of extra dimension, I will move to the warmer Chinese red that we added and do exactly the same again. You see I've changed the dauber. I keep one dauber per colour family. Just means I don't have to keep cleaning it in between. So you'll do that with all 40 or 50 of the petals that you've cut. I'll move those ones out of the way for now and bring these in. Here's some more that I've done. So you can see how they all start to take on an individual appearance because it depends where on the piece of watercolour card that you cut them, and it depends on where and how much of the ink you've applied, and you do want them all to look different. Now we're going to score them. So bring in a scoreboard if you've got one, and then all I do is with my scoring tool is down the centre of the petal. So I'm putting the point of the petal in the centre of a score line there. You can see there's the score line. There's the point of my petal, and then I'm just making sure that the base here is roughly in the same direction, and then we're going to score the centre of that petal. We're going to do it all the way around on all of them. This will help when you come to fold them so that the flower, let me just show you here, I'll bring this in and show you, so that the flower feels like it's coming out of the board and it's got all of the dimension. Each one of these little petals is scored in half so that we can fold them up, which is why we're putting these little score lines in. And you'll do that on all 40 or 50 of your petals. Now, if you don't have a scoring tool, a scoring board like this, what you can do individually is just nip your petal, but make sure that you support it at the base of the petal there, because if you do this and you don't, you're at risk of ripping one of them off. So it's very handy to have a board, but if you don't, make sure you support, nip the bottom of the petal, and then with this finger and thumb, fold them inside. What I like to do is just use my nails sometimes, give it a little bit of encouragement, and then do this. And you'll get a much more, should we say, rustic version of a fold, but it depends on the effect that you want to achieve, whether you want it to be very uniform and fold in half like mine, or whether you want to nip them in half like this. If you do have the scoring board, once they're scored, like this, let me move that out of the way so you can see. Because you've got that score line in, you'll see how much easier it is for me to go around and nip quickly those petals into place, because I've already released the fibres by using the scoring tool, and that allows me to nip and give dimension to my petals very quickly and easily. So once you've done all 40 and you've scored them, let's get these ones out of the way for now. Okay, so once you've done that with all 40 of them, we're ready to start assembling. Right, so once you've got all of your pre-scored petals ready, which I've got there, my 40 to 50, you're going to need a circle. Now, if we just talk about that for a second, you can't see a circle here at the moment, but you are going to stick all of your petals to a circle. It's not a full circle. We're going to take a little bit of the pie out, but that is what you're going to need. So you're going to cut a circle first, and then you're going to chop out a bit of the pie so it looks a bit like, if you're my age, Pac-Man back in the day. But it's not a video game thing, it's just a bit of white card. Now this can be around a saucer, a mug, anything that at the top of a conditioner pot, anything that you've got at home which is round, you can draw around and cut. If you're a crafter already, you will have no doubt have a set of circle nesting dies. Use a circle nesting die, and you want a circle which is roughly 4 inches in diameter, and then roughly to the centre, doesn't have to be accurate, you're going to snip, snip, and get yourself that little shape ready to start sticking your flowers around the outside. Now then, this is where we're going to use just a wet glue. I'm using a tacky glue here in a fine tip applicator, and that just allows me to be precise with where I'm putting my glue. And then I'll take any one of the petals that I've die cut, a little bit of the glue around the outside, and then start tracing it around the circle. It can come off the edge a little bit, don't worry about that. Stick it down, because you're going to hide this up with multiple layers of the petals. And then a little bit more of the tacky glue. Now if you don't have one of these fine tip applicators that I'm using here, what you can do is just decant a blob of glue onto your waterproof surface and use a little cocktail stick to pick it up, and just pop it on little bits with the cocktail stick if you want to do that. And then that goes over the top, and we're just going to move all the way around, layering up the petals. Let me just show you here another top tip, because I've already started doing that. What you can do is stretch your petals out if you want to. So you can see here, these are all now on top of each other. So if I bring this circle back in and show you here, you can go around randomly if you don't feel confident enough to stretch them as you do, as I have here. Or when you're putting them down with your glue, what you can do is glue one end like this and then stretch that straight to trace around the edge of the circle. And to do that, you stick one end where you're going to start with the petal, and then you stretch that back and push with the glue. I've got one that I've already started, of course, because you don't need to watch me do that. And I'm just going to go and continue filling this up with all of the petals ready to put on the base. So you can see we just keep building up and building up and building up, and the flower's starting to look beautiful. One thing I do need to just let you know, to get these shapes, when you've got your half flower, take your scissors and just, it doesn't have to be precise at all, just cut yourself a half moon out of the centre, and that then gives you your space to add the glue and stretch that round as you're putting it on. I've got all of these applied with glue already, so we can just continue stretching them round. So I'll just pop one petal on there and then stretch this into place. And what I am doing is just making sure that the petals are following that half moon shape in a uniform order as I go around. I overlap them and then make sure that these petals are lying in the middle of the petals in the row behind, and then you don't get all of the petals falling on top of each other. You've got them in staged rounds for every time they come down. So for example here, I wouldn't lie this one on top there directly. I'll move this so that this petal is in between these two. There we go. I think I just need a couple more. Got one there and one here, and we'll call that finished. And there is our half piece of flower. If I just bring the board back in so you can see what we're building. That's your half piece of flower that is ready to go onto the main board. So now that we've got that ready, all you're going to do is get the other pieces to the same point. So what I've got here are little butterflies. I've got my little butterflies ready, and my little butterflies were made using the butterfly die that comes in your floral set, and then all you're going to do is cut those butterflies several times from a piece of the card, the same colour card, the Floral and Flutter set, the same card that you cut your petals from. And you'll just keep moving it around until you've got, I'm going to say about 20 of different size butterflies. These are the ones that are cut from the card already, and you see these haven't got any extra colour on them. There we go. And then with our daubers again and our inks, I'm just going to add colour to them as I did to the petals, just to the edges of the butterflies. So you can hold it still either with your finger or with a little pokey tool. This could be a skewer or again a cocktail stick. If you don't have a pokey tool, move it round. And this time we're just adding colour to the outside edge of the butterfly. There we go. And then once you've done that one colour, change to the other colour that you used for the centre of your flower. So that was with the Chinese red. Of course, we've discussed this can be any colour flower that you're doing that matches the home decor for you or for the person that you're making this for. Take the next colour. This was my plum jam. And again, just to the outside edges of the butterflies. Now, once you've done that, comes the next step. Before the next step, just move your butterflies out of the way and give your watercolour, give your little waterproof surface a wipe to get any of that residual ink out of the way. Okay, so once you've inked your butterflies, you're then going to fold them all in half because you want the wings to be proud of the flat piece. So we'll just take the centre of the butterfly, show you that again. So you see I'm holding it and then I'm just bending the wings together, giving it a little pinch and opening it out, and that gives the flutter detail to the butterflies that we're going to want to use. Okay, when you've got them all folded and they're ready, we can start to assemble the main project. Just one other thing you've got to do is the centres, and they are cut using this little scalloped nested set from your Floral and Flutter die set, and I've just cut one of each of them and then inked it in the same manner I have just done the butterflies and the petals earlier. So just take one of your daubers, and then this time I used a seal brown ink pad and just applied colour around the outside edge. As you can see here, if I turn it over, you'll see it on the reverse. So you'll just add the ink all around the outside, and it'll give it that lovely dimensional colour, as I've done on this side here already. And once you've inked it, you're then going to take a fine brown marker. If you don't have a fine brown marker, use a ballpoint pen or a gel pen or anything you've got at home. And then I'm just going to do little dots around the outside, which gives the faux effect of the centre of a flower, and then we'll build them up on top of each other. So you need those little pieces ready. Once you've got those ready, you're good to go to build your flower. Right, so then you're going to bring your board in because you're ready to start assembling. Make sure, and I'm telling you this from experience, that your hanger is at the top, because I have done this before where the hanger was at the bottom and I had an upside down piece. We don't want that. So just check that your hanging piece is at the top of the board where you're going to start assembling. And at this point we do need a hot glue gun, because when we stick this down, we want it to remain forever. We don't want it to be coming apart, especially if it's something that you're gifting to someone. You want it to feel like quality when they receive it. So you're going to add a nice blob, and you can spread it with the tip roughly in the centre of hot glue in approximately a half circle shape. So you can see I've got plenty of that down there. And then I'm going to bring in my flower and then just angle it however I feel the most comfortable. If I wanted more on an angle or straight, it's entirely up to you. Give that a press and the hot glue will grab that pretty quickly. So that's on there pretty firm now. Now I'm going to add in my centres. So these are my little centres here. So this is going to get a bit of hot glue there. And actually, if you want to build up more than one to give it some dimension, you can. You just do a bigger blob of the hot glue. And that can go over the top there. We've got a middle one. Watch your fingers when you're using hot glue, guys. That one can go there. And then a finer little one in the centre. A little nudge if that's what you want to do. And at that point you might have noticed where you want to do some filling of your petals. And you can absolutely do that. So just, if you've got a couple spare, take a couple of your petals, and you can do it with a little bit of the hot glue on the back, or you could do it with your wet glue. It's entirely up to you. Just need a little bit. And then just go in and fill in around those centres. And you can see that that makes it feel, it had a little bit of a gap here, which I don't love the look of. You're not going to know that that needs filling in until you've got your flower on the board and you've got your centres in place. And then if you've got a couple of these little petals left, you can go in and add little pieces, and they don't have to be full pieces. They're tucked underneath. There we go. I feel that looks much more finished off. I felt it looked a bit gappy before. So you can go in and just do some tweakment with your hot glue gun once you've got it on there. Then we're going to add the butterflies. And these are all just going to be flying away randomly. Now you can do this with a wet glue. My advice is do it with your hot glue. So just be careful. And what I'm doing is holding the hot glue facing me. I can see I've pushed it a little bit, so I've got some touching the butterfly in it, and then taking the butterfly to the board. And you'll do this randomly all over so that they feel they're flying away. And you can see the butterfly wings look like they're proud, and they look like they're flying away from that flower because we folded them. And when you're using a hot glue, it grabs instantly, so you're not going to get any time to move those butterflies. But it doesn't matter, because you want it to feel like butterflies have just taken flight. Here we go. You can add more if you want. It's entirely up to you. It's your artwork. But there we are. A beautiful piece of artwork, custom made for whomever you want to send it to. And you can make that in your colourway, in their colourway. Just a really beautiful spring gift that will freshen up a room or make a really gorgeous piece of home decor for you to gift to a friend or family member.